Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Is your content good enough to be curated? Now, I'm going to be saying this with utmost love and respect. The internet is jam-packed with mediocre content out there. And I'm just hoping that whatever you're doing, you're not adding to the noise. Now, I'm excited about this podcast today because the Online Prosperity Experience has been added to the curation of, or at least of, the greatest Australian podcast. I know we put a lot of love into this program, and the fact that we show up every single day, come hell or high water, is proof that, we really expect something out of this podcast. And the fact that, our peers are starting to recognize, the efforts and the work that we're putting in here, it also just really is a pat on the back to say, hey, congratulations, team. Congratulations to my viewers and listeners, and congratulations above all to all those people that are subscribing to the Online Prosperity Experience. And we promise that every single day that you show up, we'll be helping you create a business that's profitable and enjoyable so that you can actually have potential ideal customers coming to you instead of you trying to chase them. Now, all this is exciting and everything else, but you know me. If you're an internet explorer and been following me for a while, I'm always snitching on people that I speak to every single day, or my clients, or anybody that shows up in my marketing. You know why? Because every single day we're putting stuff out there that is designed to help us earn trust before we even start selling to people, and is designed to guide our customers to buy from us more often and at the rates that we decide, not what they decide. And amongst that, we come across information, content, strategies, and systems that help us really have an insight as to how people operate and things of that nature. And what I've just noticed is just marketing 101. People are bloated with information. People just want somebody to show them how to get stuff done, or better yet, do it for them. So if you really look at what you're doing, your content, your online collateral out there, is it good enough that somebody will pick it up and say, hey, I would put this amongst the list of my, saved items that I'm going to be following through so that I can learn about a particular subject. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is, if you can answer this question correctly and without hesitation, you are already head and shoulders above your competition. Okay. I want to ask you a simple question. Why do people actually come to the internet? Go on, I'm waiting. We've got 30 minutes on this podcast. Why do people actually come to the internet? I mean, just think about it. Is it because they want to watch cat videos on TikTok or on YouTube, or is it because they want to chat with their friends on Facebook, or is it now called Meta, or does it even matter? I don't know. Or do they want to look at naked pictures of girls on Instagram or things of that nature? I mean, of course, people come to the internet not only for that. Yes, they do come for those things that I've mentioned, but it seems a lot of people come to the internet and fall into three categories. Okay, that's entertainment, information, and shopping. Now, of these three things, what are you majoring in? What does your business actually major in? we obviously tackle all of them. Entertainment, as in, obviously, I'm hilarious. You wouldn't be listening to the Online Prosperity Experience if the host wasn't funny so much that you crack yourself laughing every single time. And also, the information that we give you helps you to create and have a steady demand of your service and products, and have an excess of buyers, people who will accept the work that comes, that you create for them without any hesitation, and won't even battle you to the about your prices and things of that nature. Okay, and obviously shopping is involved in all the things that we're doing. You're meant to buy our services, okay? And it seems a lot of people, go online to have fun. All right, people, TikTok is proof testimony to that, and there's surveys on the internet that show that people are obviously 96% to connect with other communities, maybe 92% looking for research, 89% just to share stuff. I want you to particularly pay attention to the sharing of stuff. And there's a 92% that just come to be entertained. And from these findings, it actually suggests that a majority of people come to the internet for information purposes. First of all, to learn, and to even find content to share. This is where my Internet Explorer, gets to shine. If your content, if your work that you're putting out there is good enough for somebody else to want to share it, then you, my friend, will leverage all aspects of online marketing without having to lift a finger or having to create copious amounts of content that actually get no audience. All right, so I'll be explaining to you in this podcast, and I think this is the what it actually means to curate content and how to get your content curated. All right, and I think the days are way past that you can just get away with asking, is my content good enough? You know what I mean? Like the days where they used to throw spaghetti at a wall and hope that it would stick. All right, smart content marketers, smart coaches that are putting out their consulting, their training, their information, their expertise, and things of that nature should be definitely creating for and relating to their audience in order for them to actually create a business that's profitable and enjoyable, right? So if you're the person that ends up providing this information that your customers or prospects are looking for, and you're the only one that they can get this content from, guess what? People will curate that content, and your prospects get to know, like, and trust you. And you know what happens when people know, like, and trust you? They obviously buy from you. Why? Because people buy from those that they know, like, and trust. Okay, so if you're providing this information that helps people solve a problem, and whatever solutions that you might be having, they'll definitely appreciate that. And some thought leaders within the industry will definitely maybe share your content on your behalf, or actually cite, and you can get a link back from their websites and things of that nature. And that just grows your leverage, that just grows your authority, and obviously trust. And you know that trust takes a lot of time to build. So you need to be engaging, you need to be educating, and even building good relationships with your audience at multiple stages of your marketing funnel before they're actually willing to convert with you, just so that you have an opportunity for them to pass on that information to other people as a referral or as just word of mouth marketing. A lot of people that I speak to say, we are anticipating that our clients will, talk about our services to their friends and relatives. Nobody's just going to do that if you don't arm them with the content, if you don't arm them with information that they can then talk about or reference, just in case somebody thinks they're lying. Okay, have you got the blog post? Have you got a podcast? Have you got any sort of content that they can utilize in order for them to defend you at a barbecue? All right, do you have any webinars that people can subscribe to? can people affiliate from your website so they can earn some sort of a commission just because you are providing such good content out there? They know they can actually leverage what it is that you're creating. So these are the questions that you need to be asking yourself every time you put stuff out there. Or if you're not putting content out there for yourself, you can also curate other people's content. I'll be touching up on that as well, just so that you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm not really good at talking like me. Yes, I know, I'll take that compliment. Or you might not be good at writing, or you might not be good on video. Each and every one of those content pieces have already been created. You can actually just curate other people's content, but it would be better if your content is the one that's curated, so you can take advantage of user-generated content to actually market to audiences you possibly couldn't reach just by yourself. All right, so by doing this, you don't have to start explaining yourself about what you do or why you're different every time you're trying to sell somebody something, because these people already know who you are prior to you even reaching out to them, or them actually begging to be your customer, and which should be the way, by the way, because if you got a really good funnel, it should actually lead people to you instead of the other way around. And if you have heard of the online prosperity blueprint, you can literally get potential customers to come to you instead of you trying to find them. So pretty much, I'll teach you how to earn trust before your sales process begins. Design a self-guided path for customers to self-select so they can raise their hand and say, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been looking for in my life. And when they show up at your door, they are willing and able to actually buy from you. You don't even have to do much in terms of trying to convert them, okay? And you're only talking to people that know, like, and trust you, and converting them will be a whole lot easier. Now, wouldn't that be nice when you don't even have to maybe spend time like you probably are right now, cold calling potential clients, just having them hang up in your face because they don't know jack diddly about who you are, or you're sending out hundreds of emails without getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. People do thank me for sending them emails. I mean, seriously, one day when we do meet up, ask me to show you people thanking me for showing up every single day. You know why? Because they've given me permission, because I'm giving value up front. You, my friend, need to realize that you get paid in direct proportion to the value that you bring to the marketplace, right? So if you're finding yourself wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend without generating any qualified leads, that's because you're not leading with value. The internet, as we know it, is created and is founded on conversations, on content, and communities. And if you're not part of any of those 3 C's, then you, my friend, are just spraying and praying with your marketing there, all right? People should hear about you, see you, read you, experience you before they've even actually decided they want to, a bar of what it is that you're saying. So if you feel like maybe somebody doesn't feel you're reaching out to people and no one wants to buy what you're selling, and when you rely on your business to pay rent and put food on the table, man, it can put an enormous strain on your emotions, and you obviously maybe terrified and you want to give up on your dreams. But you don't have to do that. You can literally create content that people absolutely love, and you can get it curated. Now, let me just touch on what curation really is so that you can then understand what it means for you and your business, and if you can actually do that for for yourself, all right? Because in a nutshell, curation is sharing other people's content that you didn't create yourself. So you understand how when you getting a mortgage, right, you use other people's money, and that's the same also with the online space. the internet is a hungry beast for content. It's a hungry beast for people that are seeking all this information. Now, how do you now make sure that these people are directed towards you or coming your way? You curate other people's content that you did not create. I'm not saying go out there and plagiarize other people's content. I'm not saying go out there and steal other people's content and be like Frankenstein, who's just putting pieces of other people's stuff on there. At the end of the day, you need to have a clear understanding of who your target market is. And you need to really clarify your message and find other thought leaders and people who are already in that space, who are already creating content that amplifies what you're already saying, not necessarily speaking on top of you, but you now use that as a point of reference, as in, you know what, if you don't believe me, listen to Gary Vee. If you don't believe me, listen to Neil Patel. All right, you're not necessarily directing traffic to those people, although that's what ends up happening, but you're just showing your audience that you're not just taking this information from out of your wazoo. You actually can back it with sources all around the internet. All right. So when you're curating content, it is usually high quality, relevant content to your industry, relevant to your audience. That's why you need to have identified your target market, not just spraying and praying to them, just hoping that something will stick. All right. And it should be obviously entertaining content, inspiring, and educational. You need to go with the best of the best. It's it will be very well in your advantage if you actually go for household names, people that are already well known, that you can curate content from. Which on the other side, you also need to be creating content that other curators can actually cite, can actually refer to, or direct their audience to. Okay, so I'm hoping by the end of this podcast, you will now have an understanding that you don't necessarily have to create all the content that you put out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be original. It can be curated content, and on the other hand, you also have to create curatable and curate worthy content out there, just so that people can cite you as a thought leader and you can then tap into their audiences. That way you don't have to keep begging people to hire you or to buy from you at the end of the day. And this will be a huge part of your content marketing strategy from now on. Okay, so I don't know if you really understand what I'm talking about. So curated content is anything that you choose to share to your target audience that you didn't make yourself. Okay, so you could actually share this podcast to your audience because it has given you some insight that you possibly can't put in your own words. Now, that was a cue for you to actually share this podcast to your audience. You want to share it. Did you click the share button? Share it. Share it. How are you going to learn how to curate content if you're not going to share this podcast? And also, from now on, whenever you hear me saying share, that's a sign, and that should be a anchor for you to actually share whatever we're talking about. Okay, so let's just start with something real small, something like retweeting. That's a simplest form of content curation because you're sharing a piece of content that has been written by somebody else. All right, so when you retweet or when you share an Instagram photo or when you share a podcast like the Online Prosperity podcast that you're just sharing right now, you've done it, right? I mean, I don't want to keep reminding you because then what's the point? But tweets, they're just the beginning of content curation. Half of the time, you show up at somebody else's Twitter feed and you notice that they've just reshared other people's tweets and they haven't created any original tweets of their own. That still is fine if the tweets are relevant. If the tweets are, amplifying their message and not taking anything away from them. So you can do the same, with things like articles, videos, podcasts, webinars, reports, interactive content, like infographics and things of that nature. All right. So, but you need to find the balance. All right. You don't want to be that person that constantly shares other people's stuff without you also putting in your thought leadership or your content in there, because then you become an oversharer, and then people don't quite know where you stand. Are you just a parrot that repeats other people's content and you don't have a voice of your own? So you need to find that balance between curation and content creation. So we've spoken a lot about content creation, and there's a lot of podcasts that you can reference from the Online Prosperity Experience, but it's still content overall, okay? And while you're curating other people's content, you can actually get to see what is doing well on the internet and try and emulate that. I mean, why invent mediocrity when you can copy genius? All right. So you will also find that people generally don't like brands that are overly self-promotional. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Without maybe referencing other experts within the industry that also feel the same way or validate the message that you've got there. So people don't, even in real life, when somebody is at a networking event and all they're just talking about is themselves, their business, people don't tend to stick around. They go and speak to other people because that just doesn't impress them. So if your blog or your content is overly self-promotional, you can blend in a bit of curated content just so that it doesn't look like it's just sell. All right, you understand and you know that people like buying stuff, but they don't like being sold to. All right, so you as a coach or consultant, you can seek to be a part of the conversation. Like I said, the internet is really predicated on the platform of conversations. By you sharing links to other relevant articles or blogs or podcasts like these ones to your followers, all right? And that can actually then help people just find all the information they're looking for on the internet in one place. As a curator, you can literally start helping other people make sense of the internet around them. Now, you might just want to think what a curator is. A curator is places like Groupon. Okay, so you know what Groupon does? They bring in all the businesses and then all the restaurants or all the travel destinations, and you can just find them all in one place without having to find them in separate different directories or websites or things of that nature. So you can literally be the concierge of your industry, all right? And then chime in with your own content once in a while. And half of the time, people would actually appreciate that because you're making their life easier by just, finding the best quality content, so that they don't have to go through and find junk out there just to find the best part. But also, you want to make sure that you, as a content creator, you need to raise the bar considerably and ask yourself this question: is the content that I'm creating good enough to be curated? All right, because people are also seeking content for their audiences. All right, they need to find your content, they need to find your podcast, they need to find anything that you've created so that they can also put it together in their newsletters or whatever curation that they're doing for their customers, okay? And once you've got that, you've got the same level of quality that is being curated out there, guess what happens? You will then be able to, generate leads that you don't even know where they're coming from, because people value the content that you're putting out there. And guess what? You are literally taking advantage of the internet, because there are some people that are just designed to be curators, blogs that are just a list of curated content. And if you get a chance to be in there, like how our podcast is now amongst the curated podcasts, the greatest Australian podcasts.com.au, so people that would have never heard of us can now access that list that has been curated, and it just so happens that yours truly has their podcast on there. So it makes good sense, because your content has been chosen by a quality curator who's obviously familiar with whatever topic that you're speaking about. So maybe they write about health, about wealth, or relationships. And if you do happen to have a quality piece of content that they can cite, or they can actually direct their traffic to, you now get that, authority and trust that the curator already has, simply predicated on the fact that they've transferred that trust to you. That's easy, and that's leverage, and that all compounds if you're putting out really good work. All right, so that's why I always talk about just being and doing the best that you possibly can, because this might be the first time you're listening to this podcast and you're like, wow, this guy has got valuable content after content. Let me try and see the next episode, and the next episode has to be good again. The other episode has to be even better, and then people will now start gathering trust and actually referencing your podcast so that they can pass on that information to their audience. So if somebody or an influencer within your industry is very familiar with your topic, they can absolutely start just, putting your content straight without even having to verify it, just because they now have trust with, your audience. And that's exactly what Google does. That's exactly what Facebook does. That's exactly what all the social media places do. They are content curators. They're just waiting for really popular pieces of content, and those are the ones that the algorithms put on top. And that's all you just gotta do. So every time you're putting content out there, just ask yourself, is this content good enough to be curated? Would Google think this is really absolutely amazing content, and then they can rank it up? It's the simplest way to actually win at business. Now you'll notice that just doing work that matters will actually put you head and shoulders above your competition out there who's not even trying, or who's just spamming people and not putting enough content out there. So in other words, don't just try to stay ahead of what Google wants. You can never be sure what it is, because right now they've just updated their algorithm, and they are really punishing people that just spam with content, especially these days where there is AI content generators. A lot of people are just churning mediocre content out there that doesn't make any sense or help people to actually do anything with the content that they're being given. All right, so don't try to stay ahead of Google or try and game the algorithms. Just do work that matters. Just write curatable content that people will definitely want to cite or want to utilize and reference to. Okay, and just move away from just good enough and blow your competition out of the water. All right, there's just one caveat here. Be sure to find where you want your content to be featured, and then find out what it is that they are looking for, and just create for them. Okay, so if you want Google to be your curator, just make sure you're doing alongside what it is that they expect from the websites that they curate. If you're doing it for Facebook, make sure your visuals are there, or whatever it is. Know who your curator is going to be, and then pretty much after that, you, my friend, will have tons of audiences that you would never have been able to put yourself to, even if you tried. Okay, so there's a lot of benefit to somebody who is a content curator, all right? So that you understand what's in it for them, because well-curated content has tons of benefit. Firstly, it's a huge time saver, and they don't have to constantly create new content. And it actually makes them, have content so that their audiences don't walk away from them. There's a lot of people that are building audiences, and yet they are not creating the content themselves. They're just using other people's content. Why not yours? Why not other people talk about your consulting, your training, your information, your expertise, your paid speaking gigs, just like they do the other people in your audience, on the internet there? Because if somebody is successful at curating this content, guess what? They can build trust with their target audience, and you can just literally have that trust without having done anything for it. They can actually start and develop business relationships on your behalf, because they're looking for affiliation. Because if a lot of people are coming to your website, then they'll want a kickback just so that they do more of it. And then it actually keeps you up to date with what's happening in the industry, because half of the time as coaches and consultants, we're just focused on our topic. We're just focused on what's happening within our business. We tend to forget that we are part of a larger ecosystem. So if somebody puts your content, in the way that they understand it, it tells you exactly what people are seeking out there for, and then you just come back and create more content for that. And it actually just entails that you put in audiences that you obviously wouldn't have reached out by yourself. So if this has struck a nerve, or you've actually understood that you need to be constantly creating content that is good enough to be curated, or you want to curate other people's content just so that you stay ahead of the competition, I want you to take advantage of this content creation phenomenon. All right. So if you can schedule a call or find out, how to get on my calendar, when you come around, we'll work hands-on with you so we can develop a strategic plan and then deep dive and work through your ideal client clarity. Because once you know who your client is, once you know what they want, from you, it's easy for you to then find other thought leaders in your space that can actually create that content for you, or you can create that content for other thought leaders that might be seeking your expertise. All right. And then once you have that clarity, it's easy now to create strategic messaging and actually create your consulting offers at the back of that content that you are either finding from other people or you're creating for other audiences. And guess what? If you now become the in-demand coach or consultant, you can raise your fees. You can actually optimize your business model so that you're not working as much as you're doing when you're not, curating any content or being a concierge on the internet. And pretty much what we'll then do is help you set up your marketing engine and lead generation system so you can constantly attract the ideal clients and find people that can curate the content for you, okay? At the end of the day, you've got the internet to leverage. You've got all of this technology to take advantage of. Why would you be creating mediocrity when you can literally copy genius, or when you can literally create for and create demand for your own product? If you really want to know how to get potential clients to come to you instead of you trying to find them, I suggest that you click the link that came with this podcast, and then we can talk, because I really want to teach you how to market your service business in the most intentional way possible. That way, you can grow your profitable sales. You can have a framework that actually guides your decision and maintain confidence while you're actually working with the people that you absolutely love. I want you to start ignoring 90% of what all the other marketing gurus want to teach you. And it's time for you to learn the 10% that actually matters for your business to be profitable and enjoyable. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au